speaking general questions. Now, for some speaking strategies, we're going to consider some information. Let's start thinking about idea organization. Remember, Luis, when you want to have full control in the language, you have to think about how you're using the language on different levels. If you want to speak, it's very similar as when you write. You need to think about the sentence, the verb conjugation, that is the most important. And then you need to think about extra grammar that you may use, like, for example, conditionals, comparisons, etc. So you think about the language. The communication process is made up of topics which are organized into ideas. So you have the big picture, that is the idea. These ideas are structured into sentences. So you have idea, that is a sentence. Every sentence has a main verb that needs to be conjugated according to the situation. So we have the communication process, we have different topics, and that's when you need to start thinking about ideas with specific sentences and, of course, the verb. Something that I would do if I were you is to sit down and think about the verbs that I use professionally, personally, and academically, because I saw that you wrote only phrasal verbs, which I think is nice. We're going to use that maybe for speaking part number 2 and 3, where we have like a freer conversation. So before we have the activity, I'm going to introduce some of the phrasal verbs that you would like to study related to some topics, for example, so we can practice, okay? But at the end of the day, is a verb that you have to pay attention to. So far, so good?
Yes.
Excellent. Now, here we can think about 3 situations. Think about top-down processing. Do you remember top-down processing?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, what is top-down processing?
Is, for example, in this paragraph, you check like a scanning. You scan the paragraph and you get the main idea.
Oh, very good. But remember, because it's speaking, top-down processing is what the other person is saying to you. So you have to be careful. Yeah, but it's like that. Remember, ideas can be written, spoken, listened to, read. So top-down processing, yes, is the main idea of what the other person is saying to you. All right, so you have to pay. Usually it's going to be a question, but you have to pay attention to that.
It's related for, well, in my case, when I'm in some interviews with schools,
yeah,
they make questions like what do you do in your free time?
exactly. That's top-down processing.
Yes. In this case, I organize my ideas and I say, well, probably I spend my days watching YouTube videos of Martin Siria, that is my favorite YouTuber, but I can't tell them about
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true. You need to filter. So
yeah.
true. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to lie, but you can do it because at the end of the day, they want to see only language production. They don't want to research about your background, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, then you organize, as you said, you organize and you say what to do, what not to do, okay? So, and here you start thinking about structure and pronunciation. Remember, you have good structure, but something can happen to you and to anybody who is not focused on the activity, okay? So if you're not focused, remember, English is not your first language, Luis. So if you're not truly focused, motivated, engaged, you're going to be distracted by yourself. So it's like you're going to sabotage yourself. I don't know if that happens to you, that when you are in an interview, you're not producing, but when you finish the interview, oh my gosh, what if? Because you start thinking, no, you need to do this during the interview. How is that possible with practice? All right. But the most important thing is focus, because when you focus, you feel confident. If you feel confident, structure and pronunciation is going to be much better. And finally, you communicate, okay? So you need to have a communicative purpose, okay? Remember, this is for writing and this is for speaking. Only say what you need to say. Do not go around the bush. Okay, like just say what you need to say strategically. But something that I would try to include here is like specific grammar, passive voice, or the second conditional, or phrasal verbs. When you do this, the band score elevates. If everything is gonna be in present simple now, okay, so that's something to think about. Even when you have to use the negative form, or even if you want to ask an indirect question, all of this is fundamental in your communicative purpose, right?